Wake up and smell the coffee, Mr. LaRusso.
Extreme situations require extreme measures.
Yes, probably about it.
Yo, guys, back to Cobra Kai Karate. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're here to review the full entire season of Stranger Things Season 3. A very controversial season. I want to say controversial. I just think there's a lot of people that love it, a lot of people that hate it. This is one season that people classify as their favorites, and for a long time this was my favorite. I think my ranking before I rewatched it now was like last place season 1, which I obviously disagree with now. Then I think third place season 2, second place season 4, first place season 3, or season 4 number 1, and then season 3 number 2. So rewatching it, I went into it very excited, and I think the stuff I loved is still there, but I think there's also a lot of stuff that I didn't really focus on or really see that is there. That is a big problem, but still I really enjoy this season. Like season 2, a lot of inconsistencies. A lot of characters are separated. For example, Dustin separated from the main crew the entire season almost, and a lot of ups and downs, a lot of weird love drama that I guess is normal for kids that age, but it's just not that entertaining to watch while it's happening. And also there's a couple other weird stuff, but it does have a great vibe, a really fun episode, really fun characters, definitely the funniest season yet, and by far the best finale and probably the best episode in the show. So let's get right into it, starting off with episode 1. Episode 1 starts with showing all the stuff with the rush and stuff, how they're open the portal again. It sets up that whole thing there, which is a little side thing that Joyce and Hopper kind of go down. And then right after that, we get right into this full-on comedy episode. This episode was just filled with comedy. It was a lot of fun moments, but also you would expect a little bit more from Stranger Things than just comedy, which it really seemed that's all we had this episode, but I could not be mad at it because it was just really funny. Starting off the whole stuff with Mike and Eleven now dating at Hopper's house and seeing Hopper as like this overprotective dad, and the comedy that goes back and forth with him and Eleven and Mike. Really, really good stuff. I really enjoy that. Outside of that, you have the whole stuff with the mall, Star Corps, which they're all hanging out now, which we do know is there for the Russians, but still. And outside of that, we still have Will having his trouble and having his thing. We see Jonathan and Nancy now in this newspaper job, and their relationship seems to be at this shallow place. I still think it's really nice, really interesting, and I think the relationship works really, really well in season 2, and 3 and 2, and everything. They just worked really well. The only season that's not been good is season 4, mainly because they had like 5 minutes of screen time together, but still, just really good, interesting stuff there. And outside of that, you have the whole stuff with Dustin coming back, and then he starts spraying the people, and it was a really funny scene there. You had the whole thing with Billy, which is going to be a kind of a big character this season, and he's coming down there, and all the moms are sipping towards him, including Karen, which is a little weird considering they're like old, young enough to be their kid, but you do you, I guess. Outside of that, you have the friend group kind of feeling falling apart with them all having girlfriends and growing up, and you see Will as the main issue of that. We see more of that continue, even with Dustin trying to talk to his girlfriend, which we don't really see until the finale, which was an interesting entrance. But you see the group kind of growing apart, which does make sense for this age, and it happens a lot, but it does get a little upsetting when they're all separated and Will is just being treated so wrongly by everyone. But a really good thing about this episode was Hopper coming in trying to explain to Mike and Eleven about his feelings after he talked to Joyce, and it goes completely wrong, where he basically just says, your grandmother, he threatens Mike, and then he starts dancing about it, which is a little creepy, but still, that was a really fun scene, and it comes back amazing in the finale. We get to see what he actually wrote, his real feelings, which is a true testament to his character about how he truly, he doesn't like talking about his feelings, but they're really in there. So that was a really good callback scene to the finale, and it's really funny here. The whole stuff with Karen going with Billy, which I guess was a cool little subplot because she does not go and she looks at her husband and kid. I guess that was some true character depth for her, and it does seem a little like, okay, why are we really showing this? But I guess it's a cool little side story. Get her involved a little bit. I mean, they get her involved a lot more than do with freaking Ted, but still, Billy crashes, and this is what brings in to the whole thing with the Mind Flayer and stuff like that. So the episode was really fun, but didn't have a lot of depth to it. Just a couple of moments that really felt even serious at all. So I'm gonna give the episode an 8.1. Still a really fun episode, and by all means, this sets the vibe for the season, which is just 80s references, nostalgia, and comedy everywhere. The next episode felt like a little too much to me because it felt like there was just a little too much going on, and it kind of felt like it was losing its way, and this was the peak of the love drama and stuff, which, wasn't that interesting towards me. I guess it kind of had to happen. It would seem a little wrong if it didn't happen, like these characters, like these young kids who just act like adults all the time. This episode, we also had the whole investigation of Nancy and Joyce leaving their job, trying to, figure out about the whole rat stuff and the old lady and how that kind of gets explained later on. But it was cool to see, Nancy kind of passion. But outside of that, it wasn't that interesting in real time, especially since I feel like Stranger Things is a show with so many different characters. It kind of happens what happened to Cobra Kai, where they all get so separated. There's so much different stories going on where it doesn't feel tight and together, like season 1. Certainly there's different stuff going on in season 1. Like every character is doing their own thing, but still, it still felt like the same thing. And this season, you have the stuff with the Russians. You have the stuff with the under the mall. You have so much different things, the rats and everything. It just feels like it's so separated where I feel like watching 3 shows at once instead of them being together. And since the characters don't actually come together and collide every now and again, it doesn't happen until the wave finale. It's a little frustrating, but overall this episode was pretty fun. We do get to see Dustin come with Steve. Yeah, that really funny scene. We get introduced to a new character, Robin, who I thought was a really fun character throughout the entire season. It did seem like they're setting her up to be a love interest, but they do something different at the end, which I think is good, but also kind of not. I'll explain more in the finale, but overall, I will say Robin's a fun character. She comes in with a lot of energy and a lot of great moments. But I will say, the one criticism I'll give to Robin is when they find out about the whole Russian stuff and he's talking to Steve, she just blindly agrees and so passionate and goes right for it. It just seems a little weird. Like, why is she so passionate about doing this? They don't really explain her motivation. It just seems like she's full hands on deck and just starts doing this and spends all her time and passion doing it. It just seems a little out of the blue, but that is really all to say about that. But it is fun seeing them trying to figure it out. Like I said, the season does have a lot of great energy. The whole stuff of Max bringing 11 to the mall and kind of taking her on her own way, and then she dumps Mike by saying the iconic line,
"I dump your ass."
Yeah, I don't know if that was iconic or not, but it was something. Anyway, outside of that, you have the whole stuff with Billy again and him with the girl, and then he takes that one girl from the pool place. And yeah, Hopper and Joyce are supposed to go on a date, but she doesn't come because she's all focused about the bank that's on the wall or fridge. And then it basically ends with Billy, getting that girl, like I said. So that's really the episode. Wasn't that great of an episode. I just think there's too much stuff going on. Like, this is the episode they really had to bite the plot off to get it moving. And it just felt like a huge mumbo jumbo. But still, a lot of fun moments. Not a bad episode. I give it 7.5 out of 10. The next episode, another decent episode, but once again, not a great episode. It doesn't feel like the episodes before. It feels like it feels almost like an 80s like sitcom, which might be what they're going for, but I feel like it comes off a little too much sometimes. By all means, I enjoy these episodes, but I enjoy them not for the reasons that I enjoyed the other Stranger Things episodes. Like, the other Stranger Things I enjoyed for way different reasons than these episodes. But I will say, it does get a lot better later on. I don't want to make it seem like, the season's bad, but it does get a lot better. But yeah, the season opens with the whole stuff with 11 and Max trying to, they're doing the whole spying on things, which is more than joking around, but they spy on Billy and they start to realize the whole stuff going on there. Outside of that, you have the whole stuff with Lucas and Mike and Will, and Will and Mike are going back and forth about girlfriends and blah, blah, blah. And then Will's all mad. He wants to play the game. He still feels like a kid, and, just some struggling stuff there. You have the whole stuff with, Hopper and Joyce, and I really like their arc this season. They seem like two people that really do love each other, but they don't really admit it because they're kind of afraid to, but, it really comes together later in the season. But she's off. He's mad she didn't come to the date. Well, not a date, I guess, and then she's off trying to figure out about the lab, and he agrees to go. A lot of investigation stuff going on with different characters, like still with Steve and, the whole stuff with the mall. You have the whole stuff with, 11 and Max, the whole stuff with, Jonathan and Nancy, Hopper and, everything. Everyone's just following their own arc outside of one thing, which is the whole stuff with Will and Mike, where eventually after they're kind of playing the game, but they're kind of not, and they're just kind of like not really caring. He like runs out, and it's a real sad scene for Will because Will really does deserve like a true friendship, and they seem really inconsiderate. And I know they're growing up, but I just feel like that was just a really sad scene, because something a lot of people do deal with when you're growing up, and you know, your friends are kind of, you know, getting girlfriends and doing these things that are kind of growing up faster than you, and you just feel like you go back, and you can relate to that a lot with Will. The episode ends with Eleven and Max going to the girl's house, and Billy's there, and Billy actually is Vecna, in case you guys did not know. And yeah, they can sense something's wrong. So that ends this episode. I thought it was a decent episode. It did have some emotional, nice moments, but still just a lot of investigation in this episode, setting up bigger episodes and plots. So I give this episode a 7.8 out of 10. But episode 4 is when these plots and stories finally start to collide, and it starts to get really, really fun, and it really starts to put the season kind of in motion, where we see the stuff the Mind Flayer is turning to this physical body of all the stuff. It's really disgusting and creepy, and I really like it. Outside of that, you have the whole stuff with all the kids coming together with Will, where now they found out that Will, the Mind Flayer, might be back, and then Eleven and Max come together trying to figure it out. They tell him about the whole stuff with Billy. You have the whole stuff with Hopper and Joyce on the investigation, with the mayor trying to get fresh out of him what's going on with the Russians and everything. This episode, you also do have them actually break into the Russian elevator, which they will be kind of stuck in for a while. They get Erica, Lucas' sister, to help, which is a really funny character. Yeah, she's just really, really funny. Yeah, outside of that, you still do have the whole stuff with, it kind of leads over to the finale, where they lock Billy inside the place where they heat it up, and he breaks out. 11, they're fighting. It's a really intense scene, really well acted, really nice cinematography, great music, and just a really, really good scene. So that scene really was awesome. This episode was awesome. I give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. It sets motion this season, and the next couple episodes are really good. Starts off pretty action-packed. You have the whole stuff with them still locked in the elevator, and they start going way, way down, and crazy stuff there. And then that's just really funny comedy between all 4 of the characters. And then you know the whole stuff with Hopper finding the guy, the Russians, and then this other guy coming in who's basically this knockoff Terminator. And I get what they're doing. It is very funny, but it feels like that's a little too over the top. Like, okay, this guy is like literally the Terminator. Even like when they shoots him, and like I know he had a body thing on, but it's just like, it's a little too over the top for me. I still find the comedy in it of what they're trying to do, and it's pretty funny. But yeah, anyway, he starts shooting at him. They get in the car. You know, Hopper politely tells Joyce to drive.
Joyce, drive! Joyce, please! Joyce! Drive!
Then you have Hopper and the Russian guy, like Alex or whatever his name is. And then they're going off, walking to go to Murray, who is a really fun character as well. This episode, we eventually do get Nancy and Jonathan coming together with them, and they all find out about what's going on. They find out about their side and their side. They go to the hospital trying to go to the girl, and then she starts turning into the thing. Or no, the other guy, they start turning into it. There's huge action scene. It's going crazy. And just the last couple minutes of this, it was just wild. So this episode I thought was really, really fun. I'm gonna give this episode an 8.8 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. Really fun stuff. Great episode. Which brings us into episode 6, which was another, you guessed it, great episode. Like I said, this is the one that really kicks in. It starts off the whole action of the hospital and then escaping, and how intense that was. And then you had the whole fair stuff. They're having that. Murray and Hopper, they're trying to talk to Alex, trying to figure out what exactly it is and what they're doing. The kids and are still locked in there. Steve and Robin get taken captured. They start getting beat up. Well, Dustin and Eric are trying to find them or trying to get their way out. So really great comedy scenes and good scenes there. They eventually drug them up where they start acting like lunatics, but that was really fun. You have 11 looking at Billy's past and trying to help him, but Billy basically is just taken captured, and it ends with showing how huge the whole Mind Flayer physical being is becoming. So really fun episode, a lot of great moments. I give this episode a solid 8.6 out of 10. On to episode 7 is a really fun, action-packed episode. It's really setting up a lot of the next episode, but still a really good episode of its own. Whole fair stuff's going on. They're in the cabin. The Mind Flayer is coming in. That really action scene where he's fighting and 11's doing it, and it was just a really, really good scene. And she eventually does it so much, I think she actually loses her powers. So yeah, just a really great action scene. It reminds me of like an alien movie. It was just so awesome. I love when they dive into the creepiness of it all. You had the whole stuff with Dustin finding Robin, and You know, they go to the movie theater where it's Back to the Future. Sorry. And then, just really funny moments there. And then they eventually leave and, they're trying to find them. It's just really great comedy scenes they have there. You gotta love it. Then you have the whole stuff with, them at the grocery store where, they're trying to find stuff and, they're trying to help Eleven's foot who's been hurt. Then you have the whole bathroom scene with, Robin and Steve, which was a really well done, written and acted scene where, eventually she does say that she is a lesbian, which I'll say this, it just seems, I have no problem with it because I think it actually is really good for not only Robin's character, but good for Steve's character to see how he accepts that, how he moves on. I think it's going to even play in to season 5 because if you guys don't know, I do think Steve is a goner in season 5. And I think why he has been so stranded and alone from relationships is going to be part reason why to it. But still, I think, it just seemed the way they set it up just seemed a little undeserving. It seemed a little like, oh, so that's just that. And Robin, she doesn't really get a girlfriend, so it doesn't really even seem like it matters. Maybe she will in season 5, but Steve not getting a girlfriend, her not getting a girlfriend, and it just seems like that was a missed opportunity, it looks like, because they had really good chemistry. But still, I think it's good for the characters on how they accept that, and I also love their bond as just a friend. It's more like a brother-sister bond, which I think is really fun, and it's probably a better bond than they would be as a boyfriend and girlfriend. I still think just the way they set it up, though, that's the real issue. In this season, when you're rewatching it or watching it for the first time, you're kind of expecting them to take that step, and then it's just like, oh, I'm not, and then there's this go on. But still, really good comedy scenes with them. I love their chemistry and their duo, and yeah, a really nice acted scene. Then you have the scene at the fair where Alex, whatever his name is, he dies, which I guess was a sad death. I mean, he was a nice guy, but like I said, just a cliche, nice new character side guy gets killed. So it just seems a little like, okay. You have the fight scene of Hopper and the Russian, aka the Terminator, inside the mirror maze, which is a really cool scene. And then it ends with them almost finding, them inside the mall, but Eleven comes and flips the car over, and, they eventually they just get together like that, and then it sets up the finale, which is a really good episode. For this episode, I give a 8.7 out of 10. A really good episode, and the finale, holy crap. I always liked this finale. I didn't realize how good this episode actually was, because it's not just a good episode. I genuinely, for a long time, questioned if this episode is a 10 out of 10. And people say, okay, wow, okay, be so dramatic. But you don't understand, a 10 out of 10 I only gave to a very, very special selected episodes. And I never thought I would give a Stranger Things episode that. Nothing against Stranger Things, it's just the shows I love over that. Like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and these different shows. I just feel them in a different sense. And when I watched this episode, I didn't realize how good it actually was. And do I give it a 10.10? Well, we'll see. Because a 10 out of 10 is an episode with 0, and I mean big fat 0 flaws. So we're gonna talk about this episode, and it's literally one of the best episodes ever. And for people that don't know, or maybe you haven't seen the season for a while, please just listen to the words, or listen to the scenes, and just listen how good this episode really is. When I was watching it, it felt euphoric. It was insane. And, I think it's the peak pivotal of Stranger Things. And any issues I had with the season, with the pacing of Dustin and all these characters being so separated, this episode saves the entire season. So yeah, let's talk about it. Start off the whole action of Eleven and the stuff in her leg, trying to get that out, and it was a really gruesome and gnarly scene. But then they all get together. You have the whole them explaining how they got there. They're saying they have a plan to go. Murray, Hopper, and Joyce, they go down there, which leads to a fun sequences with them. They get put on their Russian suit. Steve, Robin, and they all go in the car to go up to the hill to try to get the communication. And then you have the whole mall fight, which will be happening soon. But before that, you still have Eleven basically losing her powers. As that's happening, the Mind Flayer is coming inside the court. You have the scene with Joyce and Hopper talking about they set up the date, which is a really nice, emotional, well-written scene there. Murray's still going through the thing while Steve's giving the directions. Mind Flayer is inside the mall. This was some insanely awesome action. Like I said, alien creepiness, awesomeness, where they're all hiding, and they're hiding for dear life. They come right next to him, and they pop the balloon, and just these very, very intense scenes, which I don't care if you watch it or not, it's just amazing. As this is happening, run away to try to start the car, and and Billy, he's there now. He's just trying to run into it, but Steve eventually just hits him out of the way. Then you have a scene which might be the only flaw, which might make my rating a bit iffy. And it's a scene I actually do like individually, but where they placed it in this episode, in this moment, you know what scene it is.
Turn around, look at what you see.
You know, I appreciate the comedy in it. It was really funny. The fact that this is happening while everything's going on and seeing the faces on their faces was hilarious. And I actually like the scene individually. It's a funny scene. It's a really good scene and partially iconic too, because it's just it's so bizarre. But the fact that this scene kind of plays factor into Billy dying and kind of plays factor into Hopper dying and kind of plays factor into a lot, well, he didn't really die, but you know what I mean. Kind of plays factor in all this, and the intensity and taking like a musical pause in this episode just seems you're trying to get comedy relief in such a forced way. You could have done it with the characters. You didn't have to do with this, which kind of just takes a big pause on the episode. And I look at that, I like the scene, it's funny, but still, in this episode, in this season, in this time, it was just not right. But either way, you have the Mind Flayer inside there attacking, and this is just some of the best moments. This is the best moment in like the entire show, where the Mind Flayer is attacking 11 and Billy's there and everything's going on, and Hopper's fighting the Russian, the intensity of trying to get it on, and the music, the score, the cinematography, and 11 telling Billy and then he making a sacrifice. And then as this is happening, oh god, Hopper's over there and he's staring at Joyce and the music and oh my gosh, let me just say, when you're watching this, it is so good. The cinematography, the music, and the acting, everything has peaked. And Hopper's sacrifice, even though he stayed alive, felt so real. You felt the emotion. He really did it. And, you know, you see the characters' reactions, like, especially after seeing how Max responds to Billy's death, which plays a lot into her character, and having the planes come down and seeing 11 and how she reacts to looking around and not seeing Hopper. And then you get the time jump, which literally feels like the end of the show, where they're moving away. And then she reads the note from Hopper, which is one of the most beautiful notes ever. Just a beautiful monologue about growing up, and it speaks true to every human. And it's just an amazing finale where it truly feels like the end of the show, and it just feels like such emotional, and it really makes you feel these characters like you never had before. So the episode ends, and I was in awe. This episode, I give it 9.9. Sorry, I can't do it. 10 out of 10. Susie Buns and Dusty, was it Susie Pie or Dustin Pie? I don't freaking know. Yeah, no, man. Anyway, season was really good. Starts off very slow, but still has some of the funnest stuff ever. It's a season unlike any other season. It's the most rewatchable season. It has an amazing vibe with the best episode and amazing characters, amazing arcs. I give the season an 8.4 out of 10 with an episode average of 8.4. There's my whole graph there. Really good season. Like I said, a lot of inconsistencies, the pacing with Dustin and everything, and a lot of different characters was frustrating, but still, I love this season. I was battling if it's better than season 2, but I think it is, just because of the last episode, and also a certain episode in season 2, episode 7. But anyway, there's my review. Season 4 review coming out soon. Hopefully I get it out before season 5. If I do have time, I'll try to make a video about season 5, about who I think will die and who will not die. So stay tuned for that. But there's my video. See you guys next time. Always remember, stream, subscribe, extreme measures. Peace out.